And here we are looking at the Windows 10 post phases. So what we have here is we have basically 6 stages in our default systems. So there's a post configuration stage, and this is going to do some certain things like prep the machine after it's been imaged to Windows 10. We're going to do things such as pull down its metadata from what it was before. We're going to adjust the screen lock saver on the box. We're also going to be increasing the BigFix CPU because, again, this machine is not production, so it'll end up moving through our workflow a little faster. And we have optional things like we can turn on secure booting, device guard, and so forth. But after the post configuration, our system should move to base software. This will install all the base software that every system gets. So things like Microsoft Office, Outlook, and so forth. The optional software is where the machine, from its metadata it pulled from the post configuration, is going to redeploy software to the machine that was on it before we wiped the hard drive and imaged it to Windows 10. The big difference there is all applications will be 64-bit at the latest release version of said application. So any machine walking through this process becomes consistent. In this particular example, we're going to join the domain. We don't actually join the domain during the imaging process. We had clients ask us to specifically do it at a later date. And part of that was for different workflows. They may stop the process, shelve the machine for a while before they deliver it to somebody, and then continue the process. So they actually didn't want it in their AD environment until it was ready to hit the production floor. Of course, one of the other things in our default workflow is we captured the user state, which I just kicked off on a machine, and it should be done shortly here. And once the user state has been captured, which kicks off the automation, that machine went through the imaging process. So that happened. It's actually just finishing its imaging process, and we should see it enter these stages. But of course, we want to restore the user state at the end of the day. And then the final stage, we do some cleanup work. We may adjust screensavers. We may do all sorts of different things at the end of our final stage. We may even patch the box to the latest baseline of patches for the machine. So again, it meets security requirements. But at the end of the day, our final stage kind of is a encapsulation of whatever we need to do before we turn it over to production. And again, it'll bring the CPU for BigFix back down to its normal 2%. We do some cleanup work, and we tag the machine as production is what's going to happen here. So these things come out of the Windows 10 post imaging, and all machines that are performing the post group. So just newly imaged machines should show up here. And the baselines I was just talking about are right here. So for example, the post configuration, it's hard to read that, but again, just some of the items that we're going to walk through. These baselines are open actions, and as soon as that machine, as I said, that I already captured, it's just finishing the imaging right at this point. We're going to be able to watch it walk through our environment. So actually, here you go. So here's the machine that entered post. We should see it start being applicable for these baselines, and we're going to actually watch it walk through this environment at this point. And we can see that we just have this one machine. It just got in here. It's pending some downloads because we're going to do a couple things to it for this post configuration. As I said, downloading its inventory file, its metadata, but it's working, and we can kind of see this in a real time. We should see it progress through these different stages at this point. So I am going to pause the camera because some of these take a little while, like I said, to install software. So don't want to keep you on the line for that. So as you can see, we're starting to move through these. You can see it's just automatically enforcing its way along these things at this point. And what I want to do is, since this was a VM, I'm actually going to bring this over to here so we can kind of see the VM as it's doing it. And you can see it's joining the domain. It does have a screen lock in place. I'm actually trying to click and move around on the VM itself and unlock it. I can't because our locking mechanism locks users out of the machine, and it gives them updates. We can change the screens, the backgrounds. We can show how long the process has been running at each stage, and at this point it's giving us some feedback. Now it's in the user state restore process. So I'm going to pause again, and we can continue to watch this kind of walk through its updates. I'm catching it at a good point here. I know that was quick, but I keep pausing the video, but we did lock out the screen. we're at a point now, we're at the final stage, so it actually removes the screen control, and the machine is going to reboot in a second as it cleans itself up. So you can see it walking through our automatic process. We can even see it where we take control of the screen. We got software that was installed on the machine, so it is walking through our process in an automated fashion. Just to look at it, we still have that one machine. Since I have this one machine that is walking through our status, if you notice, he is at the final stage. As I said, the screensaver, we had taken it off. He is going through the reboot. He will actually fall out of this site altogether as he turns into production, and the Windows 10 status will actually say completed, which would be great, just to show you that it walked through all of this process automatically. They were kicked off baselines that only activate on machines going through the process. And the machine actually probably rebooted at this point in final stage. That's one of its last things that it does. So not until it comes back will it actually say it completed this stage. And you can notice actually it did say complete, so it will fall out of this site, and then we reboot it. So it walked through our entire Windows 10 automation. We moved it from Windows 7 with user profile and software on it, and we were able to capture user state, get the inventory of the box, Pixie boot it automatically. Once the Windows state capture was successful, it imaged Windows 10, and then it walked through our entire workflow process. And as soon as the box comes back from its reboot and reports in, we'll actually even see it fall out of this site altogether, because he should no longer be in the Windows 10 post image site. We'll give it an update here as he's rebooting and watching him come back from his reboot. So the machine is coming back. I just want to see it automatically fall out of this site. It will show us that it's no longer applicable for this site at all. See, refresh console, and everything seems to be slow while we're waiting for it. But I don't want to pause the video here because I want you to see it actually just disappears out of here. Just to clarify, the subscription to this site is based on some of the groups that we have. We do have an automated Windows 10 post. Again, this machine is still in there. He will fall out in a second here. Once he's out of this automatic group, which again is an automated thing, he will fall out of our Windows 10 post image site as well. Therefore, none of those actions can be taken on him because he should no longer be a part of the site. Boom. And there you go. You see the machine disappeared. If we go up to the groups, it should no longer be any machines in this group, so this is perfect. The other thing to note is just that this BigFix environment that we're actually looking at here is actually up in the cloud. It's in the Azure cloud, and this VM that I just did that work on is actually in my home office sitting here in Florida. So even from the cloud, I was able to re-image a machine with the technology of BigFix. So that was kind of cool.